What is going on, guys? It's Modded here. Welcome back to another video on the Xbox Series X. So in this video, I thought it would be interesting to try and get the Series X to boot slightly faster by removing the boot animation. So my thinking behind this is that if you remove the boot animation, then if the boot animation is longer than the time it takes the console to load, then removing that animation will cause the console to load slightly faster. That is the general thinking behind this. And the reason I'm doing this, obviously, is that I've done previous videos on taking apart the console and removing the SSD from the Series X and putting it into the computer, getting access to the file system and accessing all the files that are on the Series X SSD, as it's very similar to the Xbox One. And because of that, we have access to the boot animation file, and it's quite easy to just delete that file and hopefully get the console to boot faster. So as a comparison here, first of all, I have the Series X boot times compared with the PlayStation 5 boot times right here. We've got the PS5 on the left, we've got the Series X on the right, and the PS5 starts booting a bit faster. I mean, it gains signal a little bit earlier, and you get the Xbox boot animation showing up right there. And as you can see, they're pretty much the same. I mean, okay, there's a couple of seconds faster. The Series X boots a couple of seconds faster than the PS5. I know there have been performance improvement updates, firmware updates to the PS5 that might make it boot faster. This PS5 is on an older update, so, you know, take that as you will. But as you can see, it takes about 19 seconds, and this is consistent. I have tested this multiple times. This is a proper cold boot. I do unplug the consoles from the power and plug them back in every single time before I do the boot up. So, you know, they're not in some kind of standby state that would allow them to boot faster. So bear that in mind. And also, I have done multiple tests and they pretty much boot within a few milliseconds of each other every single time. There is the occasional time, maybe once in every 10 boot ups or so, where it will actually take a few seconds longer. And the same thing has happened on the PS5 as well. Not sure what causes that, but generally, for the most part, they will boot pretty much 21 seconds every single time on the PS5 and about 19 seconds every single time on the Series X. At least with my consoles, that is pretty consistent. So yeah, removing the boot animation then. So removing the boot animation, once you have access to the SSD, is fairly straightforward. You just put the SSD in your computer, you boot up the computer, you'll have access to all the partitions. You go into the System Update X partition, and then go into the A folder and delete the file called bootanim.dat, which is the bootanimation.dat file. And then you go into the B folder and also delete the same file that's in the B folder, bootanim.dat. Once you've deleted those, you can then shut down the computer, take the SSD out, put it back in the Series X, and put the Series X back together, which is what I did. And now we have a comparison now of the Series X booting against the PlayStation 5, this time without the boot animation, to see if it makes any significant difference or any measurable difference at all. And as you can see, it gets a signal and it just has a black screen, and there we go. It's booted already, 1644 compared to the PS5, again taking about 21 seconds to boot. So yeah, pretty impressive. That is actually a difference. It's not a huge difference. I wasn't expecting there to be a huge difference anyway. But the fact that there's actually a 3-second difference is actually fairly significant. Obviously, it's not significant enough for you to want to actually go out and do this, because 3 seconds faster boot times really isn't that much of a big deal. Technically, it's like 2-point-something seconds of a difference. Yeah, it's definitely not worth actually doing this and voiding your warranty, but there is definitely a measurable difference there that you can see. So once again, this is another test just to make sure that that first time wasn't some kind of fluke, and that it is actually going to boot consistently the same amount of time every time. And as you can see, we're 13 seconds, 14, 15, and 16. And there you go, 16:45 compared to the PS5's, again, 21, 22 seconds. Pretty consistent. So yeah, there's actually a significant difference there. So now let's compare them side by side with the boot animation and without the boot animation. So turning them both on at the exact same time, you can see the one on the right with the boot animation, they both gain signal at the exact same time. But as you can see, we just get a black screen on the left. We get the Xbox logo on the right. And there we're booted. on the left, and the right now is booted. But one of the interesting things you can see is that the cards on the Series X on the UI and the actual background animation is actually at the same exact position on both, which means that they're both loading at the exact same time. It's just that the animation is still on screen for a few seconds longer on the right one, but they're both actually loading at the same exact time. So yeah, anyway, I just thought that was kind of an interesting little experiment to run since I had the SSD out of the Series X anyway, and I thought I could make this into another video and just see if it's going to make any difference. And it does make a measurable difference, about 3 seconds roughly of faster booting on the Series X by removing the boot animation. Obviously, I don't recommend doing that because you're going to end up potentially, there could be an update in the future that changes the boot animation. So if you removed it, it will just add it back again, which is obviously not going to be great, because then you'd have to take it apart again and take the SSD out to remove the animation a second time, which obviously isn't worth it. So, and obviously for 3 seconds, it's not really worth voiding your warranty for 3 seconds faster boot times, at least not in my opinion, but I'll leave that up to you guys. So interesting results anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video or found the information useful. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more Series X content. I'm going to be doing a lot more hardware stuff, including changing the LEDs on the Series X and trying to install some LED strips to the top. So we're going to be, doing some hardware stuff with the Series X in future. So stay tuned for that, and I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one.